Welcome back. So, this was the slide which we left during the last lecture, and as I told that the blue ones are showing subsidence and the red ones are the uplift. So, very detailed observations which we made, and particularly for Andaman portion, Andaman Islands, because if you look at this one, these are termed as the Nicobar Islands, this one here, and this part is the Andaman Island. So, what we found was there was a very clear cut pivotal line which passed through this area, where on the west we had an uplift, on the east we had a subsidence, and this was been clearly observed on the surface also. Let us see more signatures of that. Now, the land level change was also been reported from the this was from 1847 earthquake in Nicobar area, and this was the sketch which was been produced long back by Oldham in 1884, which shows that these are all Nicobaris, the tribal people, and this area was been affected. Now, the most important observation, if you carefully look at, this people very well understand the process, and near the coast, to save themselves from the inundation from the tidal waters, they construct their houses in a very typical pattern. So, the ground portion will be all open, and then their floor will start, their house will be from the slightly elevated area. So, this elevation helps them to get protected from the water inundating during high tides. So, this what happened in 2004. The whole area got ruptured here, and then tsunami triggered and reached the coast. Please pay attention on the top of this one. So, how much time it took to reach the Indian mainland coast. I will put this again, and let us see if what best we are able to see here. So, it took almost like 100 to 120 minutes to reach the mainland coast, that is the eastern side of the mainland India. So, we had enough time to warn the people. So, the west side uplifted and the eastern side subsided. So, coming to this part, that is the southernmost tip of India, what we call the Indra Point or Great Nicobar region, what we found was the subsidence was around 3 meters. So, this photograph was been taken by Coast Guard before the earthquake, and you see here there are a lot of houses at the base of the watchtower, and then this side you have the beach. So, what happened after that? The whole area got inundated, and this whole the region which was occupied by the houses got wiped off. Now, the beach has migrated towards the land. So, this is what it indicates, that water level has gone up, but this is not the case, the land has gone down. This was again another problem which was been faced in that region, the Great Nicobar, and this was at again at the Great Nicobar. So, we had a detailed discussion with the army people there, and they told us that this is the boundary wall of their office at Campbell Bay, Coast Guard District Headquarters. So, This is the boundary wall, and after this they had almost like 60 to 70 meter wide beach, which now they did not see, okay, because this area got subsided, and they are frequently faced problem of inundation during high tide. The tsunami wave reached almost like 2 to 3 kilometers inland in the Great Nicobar area, and the impact of the wave, and because of the ground shaking, there was a lot of damage which was been observed in this or experienced in this region. Okay. The another beautiful part which we came across was the some people from this region, they informed us that this island, that is Trinket Island, was splitted in two parts, okay, because of an earthquake. But when we flew on this region, what we observed was not exactly the same, because what happened was that this area subsided, and now the water has been passing through and through from this region. So there wasn't, because of the subsidence it happened. We also looked at some beautiful signatures here. The next photograph which I am showing was the aerial photograph which was taken from this place looking to this side, and what we saw was that there are signatures on some drowned shorelines. Okay. So this clearly indicates that this area experienced subsidence in the past also. But not always there will be an subsidence. In some earthquakes there will be an uplift also, and that has been reflected by the flat surfaces here. Okay. So one flat surface is here, another flat surface is here. So this indicates that there was an uplift also experienced by this area in the past. Okay. So drowned beaches, if you are drowned shoreline, if you look at this configuration here, the coastal configuration, it clearly indicates that there was a shoreline which existed before, which is underwater now, and this portion is submerged because of the 2004 earthquake. So this area again got subsided in 2004. So this is a drowned shoreline, and this was the submergence after 2004 earthquake. This is what the story I was talking about, the splitting of the islands. Okay. This image was been taken by NRSA before the event, and this was after the event. Okay. So you clearly see that this area, of course it looks like that this was been splitted in two islands, but this happened because of the subsidence and the water getting inland, okay, along the coastlines. So this area is over here compared with, and this is what we took the flight and we observed. Okay. So there was the splitting over here, but this was because of the subsidence. Now coming to this part, again it was a dramatic and very sad experience, because this is one of the most beautiful small island, and where this side, this is an eastern side of the island, and the height of the maximum height in this region of the hills, which goes maximum up to 70 or 80 meters. Okay. It is not very well developed or elevated island. Okay. So relative height is very less here, and we have most of the areas are in here we are having flat land, and then we are having a very beautiful beach here. Okay. So this portion is the portion which is been utilized by Indian Air Force residential colony, and they have the runway here. So this is the best place which they found that can be used for the stay and all that. Okay. So this strip you see here is the airbase, and this area was been occupied by the Indian Air Force people. Okay. So what happened after during the earthquake? Okay. Everything was been wiped off. Okay. All the houses were been completely wiped off. Only one structure, that is the water tank, it remained. Okay. And the reason for this, because it is circular and the thrust was been like the forces were been distributed or the energy was dissipated. Okay. So, you do not see much of the damage occurred on this circular structures. Okay. But the houses were been wiped off, and then there was a very huge scouring of the land because of the ground shaking as well as because of the tsunami. So, if you look at this one, what we discussed with these people, because this is one of the deadliest event they experience in their life. Okay. So, we spoke with some of the survivors, and one person was from the airbase, was Captain Manoharan. Okay. What he informed us that this event occurred on 26th, okay, and 25th was the Christmas Eve. So, they had like big parties going on, and they slept very late. So, in the morning when this earthquake took place around 6:35 a.m. Okay. So, after the 15 to 20 minutes, that what they have reported us, okay, they experienced the first wave arrived, but this first wave was not powerful as what they informed us. Okay. And the height was less than a meter or so. So, what we evaluated based on this, that this was not the tsunami waves, but this was the inundation which took place because of the subsidence, because the land subsided and the area was been, the water came in, okay, the ocean water. Second wave was higher than the first one, that was the first tsunami wave, that what we interpreted, and they say the third wave was much more powerful, and the height was almost like 8 to 10 meters, okay, and that caused the massive damage. And this is what we were talking about, that in Japan, how people were been evacuated, and then people experience first wave, second wave and third wave. So, here also they have multiple waves which came in, which were triggered by the 2004 Sumatra Andaman earthquake. Okay. So, the last wave, what they say as per their understanding, third wave was much more powerful, and the height was almost like 8 to 10 meters. Okay. So, 8 to 10 meters means you are crossing the ground floor in the first floor, okay, the top of the first floor. Giant trees were been uprooted, which you can see here, okay. And then you can imagine with the height of the person here standing. So, a lot of huge destruction took place on this. Okay. And then corals, the coarser deposits were been carried, sand was deposited, huge thick sand was been deposited after the event. And this is the picture of the inspection bungalow of the Indian Air Force base, which is right now sitting in the ocean, okay, close to the and they had like very beautiful beach which used to extend for almost like 100 meters for the left here, okay, but now they do not see that. Okay. So, this is sitting in water now, because nobody will construct an house or an inspection bungalow where you will have the problems of inundations. Okay. So, this is what clearly indicated that this area got subsided during 2004 earthquake. Okay. And as I told, the third wave was almost like 8 to 10 meters high, which you can see from the cloths which are hanging around the window, and the top of the roof has been destroyed. Okay. And this is the indication again of the inundated watermarks, okay, or the watermarks formed because of the inundation and stagnation of water for some time, which reached right up to this one. Okay. So, it was almost like more than 3 meters. Okay. So, this is within the house we were able to see. And then this was another story which was been told to us, that since the first wave came in, or the first wave which they interpreted had the water level of 1 meter. So, the people who stayed on the ground floor, they moved to the first floor to save themselves. Okay, but they never understood and they never knew that the third wave or the second wave will be much more powerful, and they will engulf, it will engulf all the even the second the first floor also. Okay, and that what happened. Okay, so few of them, the person who survived with his family, he ran to the high ground, but these people, they stayed here with an understanding that nothing will happen and we are moving on the higher floors, but this whole area was been inundated. Okay, so water level reached up to this, which can be seen with the mark of the debris which has been left out, but in the previous one we even saw much higher up to this one. Okay, and this is what it indicates, that the return wave. Okay, so it came in breaking this wall, and when it, and this is the inundation limit over here, when it went back, it folded the wings of the fan. Okay, and you can even see the debris which is lying here at the top. Okay, so water was quite deep, like the depth was quite high here. So this is because of the return wave. The energy was so high that it lifted and moved the oil tanks. Okay, you can see here the oil tanks which will be moved on the runway, okay, of the airbase, and you can see some debris here, which is a small television here, and then there is a refrigerator here and all that. Okay, so tanks were moved inland by almost 1 kilometer, and these are huge oil tanks. Okay, then coming to this part, that is further north, if we move, we have an Hut Bay, or we call this as an part of the Andaman Island. Similar damage was been observed, and there was again a massive damage, everything was been wiped off. Okay, some locations were very much similar, which we observed in Nicobar, and this is from the Hut Bay area. The whole walls were been broken by the water, and then water went back, so you can imagine the height here. Okay, because of the return wave. This person told us that, and we can see the stagnation of water which left out the watermarks on the wall of their houses. Okay, so this was one almost 1.5 meter, and then moving up. Okay, and having almost like 2 meters or so. Then coming to the other part, which where we see, so what we were looking until now was the subsidence. Okay, at Great Nicobar here, and then subsidence at Nicobar, and we saw some signatures of the Trinket Island and the Camrota Island here. Okay, now we are going to the Andaman part here. So we saw a clear-cut uplift and subsidence which occurred on the western side and the subsidence on the eastern side respectively, and of course the subsidence on the Port Blair part. Okay, so this is an uplift in the northern side of the Andaman Islands. So this is before and this is after. Okay, so area emerged in that region. Okay, this is from the Sentinel Island over here. Okay, in the western side of the, so this area got uplifted. Nobody goes here, but this because this area is still occupied by the tribes. So this photograph has been given to us by Coast Guard people. So this shows clear-cut uplift where this area got emerged. So island got uplifted here. Okay, so this was a very interesting photograph which we got. A tribal person, a tribe, with a bow and arrow. Okay, he is aiming the helicopter of the Coast Guard. Okay, so no one dared to go in this region, but of course these people, couple of people were been saved here because of their understanding about the process. Okay. This area is the Port Blair Sippy Ghat, which again experiences subsidence. Now if you carefully look at this photograph here, you have a very beautiful marks of the agricultural field. Okay, and this area was extensively used for paddy cultivation. And this was a very interesting photograph which we had. Okay, so it says house site for sale, but nobody is interested now to buy land in this area because this area is frequently getting inundated. Even today, okay, we experience that this area is facing the problems. Okay, so what they have done is that they have raised the walls. This is the road which connects the different villages. They have raised the portion here, okay, almost by 1.5 to 2 meters. So you can clearly see this here. Okay. This is in coconut plantation. So now it is sitting underwater, and all agricultural fields are getting inundated. So they lost the land in this sense. Okay, so this area subsided. So if you look at the close up of this, the level of the water road was raised because there is no other place available to put the road. So the best way was to elevate the road level. Okay, so that what they have done, almost by 1.5 to 2 meters they have raised the road. And then like coming to the past earthquake signatures in the sediments, if you look at, okay, this we have already discussed, so I will just move. This is what I was explaining there also in the first couple of slides in the beginning, that if you are having subsidence, then you will have the preservation of the dead trees, as we have seen in the Chilean from the Chilean earthquake also, and then you will have the formation of another soil layer. Okay. So in some locations, along with the tsunami sand, you will have the signatures of the dead forest. Okay. So that this what it shows, that this was the level, it subsided and then it got preserved in the sediment succession. Okay. So this is an example from Willapa Bay from US, which shows the dead trees, a trunk of the dead trees, okay, over here. So this surface existed like this before the major earthquake. Okay. Then the area got subsided. This also we talked about, so I'll just move. So in some locations you will have the preservation of sand, but if in some there is no preservation, but at least you will have some signatures of the subsidence which took place during an earthquake. Okay. Best locations to look for such deposits are the behind the beach ridges. We will always see the preservation of the tsunami deposits. Okay. Because this areas will not be much affected because of the coastal erosions from the tidal. So this we have talked about, that we can see this sections and we can try to identify the signatures of the old tsunamis which triggered in the past. Okay. So similar example what we were looking at here, like if the area is subsided, then we will have the formation of, to some extent we will have the formation of lagoons, okay, behind the beach ridges. And this is an example from Nicobar. This is what we see, that there is a formation of lagoon behind the beach ridge. This happened because of the 2004 earthquake. So what we did was, I'll just quickly show some signatures what we found from the Andaman area. So this is the area which is sitting somewhere here, okay, probably in this part, and then we move to this area, okay, here. Okay. What we saw is that there are few Japanese bunkers, because Japanese they occupied this region during 1991 to 1945, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So they constructed few bunkers here, but now this bunker is sitting in the open to ocean, okay, because no bunkers will be constructed looking for the enemies, okay, which indicated us that this area experienced the subsidence in the past also. And in 2004, from the local people, we also came to know that this area was affected by the tsunami. And then we have some examples of the old dead trees also here. So we opened up similar what we call trench to see the near subsurface sediment succession, stratigraphy, and you can see clearly this blackish part and the sand sitting on the top here, okay. So this is 2004 tsunami sand, and this is 2004 soil which existed before the earthquake, okay. And then if you go down, we see very clear indication of another sand layer here, and then we are having soil here, okay. And then further below we see some signatures of gravel cast, and then we have some buried tree roots, okay. And this buried tree root is along with the peat deposit, okay. So this peat deposit clearly indicates that this area was subsided during past events, okay. And we see here very thick sand layer, again very much similar to what we are having here, okay. So we had the earthquakes in the past also, and this was not the only one which was experienced in 2004. So this area looks very similar to what I was showing from photographs from the Chile. So this we have taken from the high grounds. This whole area got inundated again. You can see very clearly the boundaries of the agricultural fields. Now they cannot grow anything over here, okay. So tsunami wave direction was from this side. So again it deposited a lot of sand on the surface. So we opened up the trench again, and then we saw some very beautiful signature of the old tsunami deposits here, okay. So these are the tsunami deposits, and then peat layer, thick peat layer clearly indicate that this was this area was at high ground before the past events, okay. So we have the blackish peat layer, then we have some liquefied sand here, and then we are having the this chaotic nature of the deposits here, which again indicates the old tsunami events, okay. And then we are having on the top is 2004 tsunami sand. So further deeper part we took using a geoslicer, and then what we found was this one, okay. Now we have a very fine deposit over here sitting, okay. There's a clay bed, and then you see a very sharp contact between the, so this deposit is very much similar to what we usually come across in the tidal areas, okay. And then we are having a very sharp boundary, and then we are having a finer clay deposit. So this clearly indicate, the sharp boundary clearly indicate that there was a sudden change in the land level and the environment changed, okay. So this indicates the deeper environment, and this indicates the shallower environment where you are having the tidal waters coming in and getting deposited. So mostly you will see laminations which are seen in the tidal deposits, okay. So this we classified as in PT and this layers, okay. And then we have the ages, which indicates that this event, okay, which we say that this was an event here. So we have the ages from this layer, which suggests that there was an event in 1600 AD, okay, close to that, okay. So this is a very good indication of the past tsunamis from this region. So Port Blair subsided even in 1600 AD. And in 2004 also it subsided almost by 1 meter. And studies suggest that in 1600 the subsidence was very much similar as we experienced in 2004. So about the co-seismic uplift, we were talking until now about co-seismic subsidence, and uplift also was been observed in this area. This is the area from here, there is the Interview Island, and then another one is North Reef Island, okay. So the uplift was almost like 1 1.1 to 1.3 meters. Okay. And this is what has been seen here. Okay. This is before, and this one is after. Okay. So the tip of the interview island, you can see this is uplifted here. So coral reefs got uplifted and it was exposed to the environment. Okay. Now if the corals are uplifted and they are have been projected to the surface, it will die. Okay. Apart from this, what we observed was that this is the barnacle level of the barnacle survival, where they survive in the highest high water line. Now they are exposed, so this clearly indicates that this area got uplifted during 2004 event. Now as we see the signatures of the past earthquakes or the tsunamis in the sediments, we also see very beautiful signatures which are usually preserved in the growth of corals. Okay. Now here what has been shown in the sketches, okay, like corals will always grow under a particular level of survival, okay, like level of water. Okay. If it is exposed more to the atmosphere, it will die. And since these corals are seen mostly in the coastal zones, and if those coastal zones are close to the subduction zones, they will be definitely affected by the uplift or subsidence process during an earthquake. Okay. So now if you look at the this part, okay, if suppose this area is uplifted, okay, or we can say if the area is getting subsided, then what will happen? Okay. So if the area is uplifted, okay, so the B part here, this one, this you can see this is the top exposed during the emergence will die, and the new rings will keep on adding up on the lateral side. Okay. So usually the corals will grow laterally as well as vertically. Okay. So it will keep on developing in form of the rings. Okay. So this type of coral structures will form during gentle uplift, and then what you have the gentle subsidence. Okay. So you have an uplift here, and then slowly you are having the subsidence here. Okay. So this area during an uplift, this portion got exposed, so this remained. Okay. But then later on the subsidence, it again allowed the corals to form on the either side. Okay. So you have an subsidence here, and then another one which shows here is this is an abrupt uplift and then gradual subsidence. So during an abrupt uplift, this was been exposed, but during the subsidence next event, this again start growing. Okay. So it go vertically as well as laterally. So this type of features one can easily look at, and the micro atolls. Okay. So this is what we call the hat type. So then head type, you will have this will be exposed. Okay. So this will remain and then this will grow. So this is what we call hat type, and this is cup type. Okay. So you are having the cup shape here. So this one what we call is the cup shapes. Okay. So you are having the growth here of the coral, and then you are having a flat area here, and then you are going up here. So this is untypical of the cup type. Okay. But in 2004, this got uplifted. So now what will happen? This remain exposed. This will remain exposed, and then the corals will start growing from here. Okay. So they will have the growth on either side here. Okay. They will keep on growing like. So this will be now exposed. So this will be like what we see is the hat type will remain on the top. Okay. And but here we are having a cup type. So I'll stop here, and then we'll see you in the next lecture, where we are going to talk about the landslides and other part. Okay. So this indicates the abrupt uplift and gentle subsidence. Okay. Thank you so much.